Welcome to everyone who is live and to the people who are listening to this recording. Let me tell you a little something about Thorchain here. So Thorchain has this app layer called Rujira. Okay, so anyone listening to this recording, if you love Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, AVAX, XRP, Zcash is coming soon, Solana. We have so many layer ones we support. Okay, Binance Smart Chain, various stable coins. What we are building with the app layer is literally a decentralized Binance, air quotes, no KYC, permissionless. I am so excited for this space, you guys. Pragmatic Monkey is going to break it all down today. So if you are a holder of any of those exogenous assets, if you don't know a thing about Thorchain, you don't know anything about Rujira, this is the space for you 100%. You are going to learn a lot today. It's going to make you really excited. So with that being said, guys, let's get right into the intro here. What is Thorchain? Thorchain is a decentralized exchange that enables you to swap Bitcoin with thousands of other cryptocurrencies. It's all layer one, native tokens. There are no bridges, no wrap tokens used. It's the real deal, and it's all within your self-custodial wallet. There is no KYC on Thorchain. KYC stands for kill your customer. We do not do that. It is permissionless. Thorchain's token is called Rune, and that is spelled R-U-N-E. You do not need to buy or hold Rune to place a swap on Thorchain or use Thorchain. However, the fees are deducted from your swaps, right? And how that works is, let's say you have a Bitcoin to Ethereum swap, random example. Your Bitcoin, all the fees that are needed for the intermediary gas transactions are taken from the starting asset. So that's why you don't need Rune. It's a really awesome design. It's amazing. It allows anyone to use Thorchain. The yield from these swaps goes to liquidity pools and node operators. There are no block rewards on Thorchain. 100% of the yield is real. Thorchain has another token. It's called TCY, Tango Charlie Yankee. This token is kind of like a preferred stock, okay? And 10% of the protocol's revenue goes to these token holders. If you deposited crypto into savers or if you took out a loan on Thorchain, make sure to claim your TCY token so you can start collecting this yield. And anyone listening to this can buy the TCY token as well. To swap on Thorchain, go to the official Thorchain interface, which is swap.thorchain.org. One more time, swap.thorchain.org. New features and functionality are going to be added all the time over the next few months. If you see any bugs whatsoever, please, you can use the email address displayed at the top of the site. But that is the official site. There is no affiliate fee, okay? So it's literally just what the minimum basis fee is. Guys, Rujira, the topic of today's space, is building, as I said, decentralized Binance on Thorchain smart contract layer. It is being rolled out. We have perps that are live. I'm assuming they're going to be upgraded soon. Pragmatic Monkey is going to talk about that. But that is what we're here to talk about. It's so exciting. If you hold any Rune on Binance or any other centralized exchange, get your Rune off of the centralized exchange pronto, because the centralized exchanges can use these tokens to short sell or drive the price down. We believe in self-custody. We need to get Rune into the network. And how you can do that is, if you are a Rune holder, is you can bond your Rune. And the best interface to do that is runebond.com. runebond.com. Very easy. All you have to do is look up a node, request a whitelist, and then bond your Rune when it is approved. It is Rune on Rune yield. It is an awesome system. There's a Thorchain community Discord and Telegram. You can learn all about Thorchain, make friends. To find the links, go to @Thor, Thor community, all one word, @Thor community account on X. Guys, again, repost this space. If you're listening live, recording, does not matter. And we're going to gear this towards anyone in your Thorchain journey, whether this is the first time you're hearing about it or if you're a veteran. There will be something for everyone. Now, let's go switch here. It looks like Pragmatic Monkey is having a little bit of issues coming up. We do have the Rujira account up here. That's good. Guys, if you want, please, there is a link in the Rujira Telegram for questions. I'm sorry, the comment section, we do struggle with that on X. If anyone has any questions whatsoever, please put them down. We're going to do our best to get to them today. Let's see who we got in here. Well, let's see. We got Cedric, Rujira, Aftermath, Blue Rail. Are you guys excited? I'm really, really excited. I'm looking in here to, yep, we're trying to get, you guys know how X-Space are. Looks like Pragmatic Monkey's having a little connection issues here. We will get that resolved. I spoke to Chad Barraford Thursday. Very exciting, you guys. Really cool about Rujira here is this is the first time talking with anyone on the Thorchain side where we really, for the first time ever, we're talking about ossification of Thorchain. Because when you guys think about it, when you're thinking of new primitives, new designs, things like that, that's really not there. What can else we can do with the base layer? And for those who don't know, Thorchain is just raw infrastructure. It is just swapping infrastructure. That's all it is. It's what you can build on top of the infrastructure, which makes it so powerful. And for Thorchain, that's all we need to do is do swaps, right? So again, we are now thinking about approaching this era where we're ossifying Thorchain. And all the new, cool, really interesting stuff, that gets built on Rujira. And I believe that's where it belongs. Thorchain should be a robust, hardy, simple infrastructure that can't be captured, can't be censored, that's open to each and every single person in the entire world. That's what we're going to do here. Okay, let's see. Let's get on Pragmatic Monkey here. And it looks like he bugged when he tried to get the co-host thing. Let's see here. Let me go to co-host here. Let's see here, Pragmatic Monkey. Let's see what we can do for you. I'm going to invite to speak. Okay. Gosh dang it, X. You know what I mean? It's like you can only go so far with the filibustering. It's like, man, you got to address this. Like, what can we do to make this better? I mean, I want to start the show. We got some bangers to drop today. Are you kidding me? And we're being delayed because of friggin' X, man. It's always like this. So it looks like he's going to try to leave and rejoin. Guys, we're going to have, when Pragmatic Monkey gets up here, we're going to be giving the update. But I want anyone to know, like, this is going to be an open stage here, okay? So if anyone has any questions, particularly if you are from another community that you hold a layer 1 that's supported on Thorchain, I would love for you to come up here, okay? This is an educational space for you, as well as the people who are well acquainted with this ecosystem, this shared ecosystem here. Let's see what we got here. We got Nigma, CN, Ever. Is that Boo Boo? I don't know what that Boo Boo. BIU. I don't know how to pronounce that. We got Fred. Cool. Cedric. We got Max Power. I met Max Power in real life in Las Vegas, you guys. Again, make sure you guys are going to crypto conferences because, these people you meet anonymously online, they become your friends. It's really cool. And everyone I've ever met, even with like the craziest avatars, they're like usually super friggin' smart and super interesting, super awesome. Let's see here. Let's see. Can someone else join? Speak up. Okay. Boop, boop, boop. Yep. Okay. It looks like our Frenchman's really struggling here, you guys. They don't want this information to get out to you. Pragmatic Monkey is now swearing in a private chat. He's going to switch to his phone. This poor guy. I think we might hear the first ever angry monkey. He's not going to be pragmatic today. He's going to be angry monkey today. It's so over. This is awesome. You know what? Isn't it? I don't know. Maybe it's like part of your brain where you're like where it's really funny when someone's like struggling and they're in pain and they're frustrated. Isn't that something really messed about human psychology where we just like really enjoy it? We just like laugh at them, I'm having that moment right now where I just like, am I a normal, healthy, functioning person? Like, oh, I must be sociopathic to some degree because he's really pissed off. Okay, this is great. I love this. This is so much fun. Only Hans is in the house. What's going on, Only Hans? I think you just joined, unless it's glitched out for me. This is gonna be an open space, you guys. Pragmatic Monkey is joining. I hear a voice. Is that you, Pragmatic?
That's me.
Oh my God! Welcome to the show. I know that was really hard for you. I did my best to filibuster, but that would. Filibustering for 10 minutes, that's hard to do. You know what I mean?
Yes. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I ended up opening into a new private window with a new connection to X, and that worked. So
no worries, dude.
For anyone trained in the future.
It's okay. It's like
horrible.
Don't worry. When someone as smart as you struggles getting on a space, it really adds credence to the argument when I struggle and I say it's not my fault. You know what I mean? So actually, it all works out. Well, dude, I've totally laid it out for them. I've hopefully got everyone warmed up. I'm going to go ahead and kick it to you, Pragmatic Monkey. What is the latest when it comes to Rujira Network?
Okay, so cool. First, maybe I start by taking a step back here and really mention. So we have had a bit up to let's say a month ago or so. We are very much still into getting all the basic building blocks in place and launching the first apps and getting all the logistic ready. And then we kind of had not the existential crisis, but we came back to the basis. Like, why are we here? Like, we kind of got lost a bit in the process, I think, all of us. And we tried to rethink a bit more about what was the reason we started all that and why we are still here after all those years, dating back from the Terra days in 2021. And it was all about fairness and creating a financial ecosystem that is more fair for everyone. And the key part of that was really about democratizing liquidation. At the time, the first and only product was Orca, which was plugged into Anchor on Terra, so the money market. And what we allow anyone to do was to participate in a liquidation. And that was big because for people who don't know how liquidation works, let's start first by on-chain. So on-chain is already a bit fucked up, like quite unfair. Typically, I mean, it's important. Like you can, like, I understand why it works the way it works because you want to protect system solvency, but the way it works is you have a fixed discount, typically 8 to 12%, depending on platform and collateral, and to trigger that. So you need to run some sophisticated MEV bot most of the time. Typically, it will be the team operating the platforms that also take care of liquidating their users. So there's a bit of a conflict of interest there. And whenever you get liquidated at a fixed discount. And typically, your asset, your collateral that is being bought, is resell in the same block, so in the same candle, and at market price, and that creates this big liquidation cascade where effectively you buy at a discount, you sell on the market, this creates a big wick, this trigger more liquidation, which you buy at a discount, sell on the market, and that's very unhealthy. And that's also mean that for the people who can operate those bots, they are making a ton of money of those rough down days in crypto, and the rest of us cannot benefit of that. So that was what, like, if you look at DeFi overall, it's a lot. There's a lot of efficiency gain, and most of the things like making market via being on a decentralized exchange or borrowing against your collateral, all those things, they are like quite well covered already and fair in the sense like everybody can access with the same chance. But liquidations were always the things that actually cost a lot to user and that were never made democratic. And that's why we started all of this in the first place, to democratize access to liquidation, to level the playing field, to make the game more fair for everybody in DeFi, because at the end, that's what DeFi is about. And so we came back to this vision, and it's really what we are trying to build is really a system that is more fair for all participants. And you can see that at different levels of the stacks. So, for example, also, if you think about how Ruchi trade, the order book decks work, we have this fairly unique property that it's 100% on chain, including the matching of orders, which means that whenever there is a price level that is hit in the order book, for that price level, people will always get their pro rata share of the order compared to all the other at this price level, fit proportionally. And that's fairly unique, because if you look at a lot of other centralized exchange, of course, but even decentralized exchange, usually order book decentralized exchange, at the end, it's not fully on chain, and you always have the matching of order, or in many cases, matching of order happen off chain. And whenever there is something happening off chain, it means that somewhere, somehow, somebody has the ability to define who is going to get served first. And then that means you can front run, whoever is in control of that, can front run other orders every blocks and put his own order first and do a sandwich attack or this type of things where effectively you just take advantage of the price slippage tolerance the user has been putting it. So we have this concept of fairness really across the board, but the biggest piece and what's really going to make Rujira unique and what has always been the most exciting for people is really access to liquidation. And so what we can do with, or what you will be able to do soon with liquidations is allow anyone, instead of having this fixed discount when you liquidate a collateral, you will have a Dutch auction process. So that means people can bid, anybody can bid, it's permissionless. And when you bid, so you have the market price and you bid at a discount to the current market price. And the Dutch auction means that your order are then filled from the lowest discount to the highest discount. So everybody can participate, but it also creates a competitive market for liquidation. So that means it's not only good for the community, for everybody who want to buy on a big red day and effectively buy the local low in crypto at a discount. It's also good for people who get liquidated because now you have a market mechanism that force competition into the buying of your liquidated collateral. And that means that typically you will get a better price than what you would get in a fixed discount scenario. So that's very exciting. That's really what was at our core. And we are coming back to those roots to really trying to make this full financial ecosystem really fair and accessible for everyone, and having liquidation at the forefront of that. And so liquidation, of course, comes when you have leverage. And that brings me to the second and biggest innovation we are working on now, which is credit accounts. So credit accounts is a new core primitive on Rujira. And it's a very flexible model. What it allows you to do effectively is to have a smart contract account where you can deposit any sort of collateral that we will whitelist. So of course, there will be some level of curation there because you don't want to have some very low liquidity meme coin or whatever project, because otherwise you have a big risk of creating bad debts if there is not enough liquidity to facilitate orderly liquidation when price goes down. But for like blue chip collateral, native Bitcoin, native ETH, Sol soon, native XRP, all the other AVAX, BCI, BTC, BCH, LTC, all the assets connected to Thorchain will be able to use them as collateral, and then inside that account take a debt position against that. And that allows us to create a lot actually of different products. We can, of course, so the first one, which is already live on Testnet, is a standard CDP loan. For now, it's a single collateral CDP loan. So deposit your native Bitcoin, borrow USDT or USDC against that, and you have a certain LTV threshold, and below that you are safe. If you get there, you get liquidated. And then it flows into the liquidation engine. I'll come back to that in a minute. But that's one application. That's I would say the simplest of all. But the same primitive, by instantiating the same smart contract but with different, we can also do a lot of other very exciting stuff. So one of that, for example, will be Bitcoin-backed stablecoin. We can do it very easily with this system, but just instead of having a position that is effectively inside your account, you just create you mint a representation of your position, and that creates a stable coin. So that's another thing that it will allow, like a BTC backed stable coin backed by native BTC. So that's quite big. We are very excited about this one. But then using the same system that you would to mint the stable coin, we can also mint effectively any sort of synthetic stablecoin, if you wish. So it could be a USDC backed stablecoin, but also BTC backed stablecoin. And now you have two stable coins for which you can create a market on Rujira Trade or order book DEX, and suddenly you can create a market for future effectively, especially if you add that access to that market in a credit account, and therefore give access to leverage, and suddenly you have a future market with leverage where you can trade all sorts of synthetic assets as long as you have an oracle price for it, and we have very robust oracle now thanks to the latest innovation at Thorchain level, which is the Enshrined oracles, and we will be able to create this new version of pairs, or we probably call it futures, which will be fully integrated with the rest of the ecosystem and use a peer-to-peer order book model directly inside Rujira Trades, by just simply leveraging this beautiful piece of text that is credit accounts. And all of the levered products in the system will go through liquidation via Rujira Trade order book. So that's really how the whole flywheel spin. Like how that's the beauty of owning the full tech stack. Like we develop all the apps and we really think them to work one with another, and that's what also differentiates us a lot versus all those permissionless chain where you have a lot of people doing different things. Things are open source and composable, but because they are not thought from the start to be working with one another, at the end, it's usually end up being very fragmented and nobody is really using all the pieces to create more advanced products on top of those. And here, that's exactly what we do. So then you will have all those levered products. So we'll have its credit account also enables spot margin trading on Rujira Trade. So you will have both future spot margin trading, stable coins, and all of that via the credit account liquidation system. Whenever you will hit a certain level of unsafe LTV, your collateral will be sold into Rujira Trade order book via a market order. And that's where everything comes together. So it goes via the order book. And because we have this also unique type of order, which we call oracle orders, which allow effectively end user to put an order that will update every block based on the Enshrined oracle price. And you can put this order at a premium or a discount to the current oracle price. Now you can put, let's say you have a debt position with BTC as collateral. It's reached its max LTV and go into liquidation mode. The asset gets liquidated. There is a limit order to sell a portion of your Bitcoin to collect some funds to repay some of your debt and put your position back into compliance. And this Bitcoin sold via market order means it's going to create a little wick in the chart. And so, of course, depending on the liquidity and the size of the position being liquidated, the wick is going to be more or less deep. But first, thanks to the virtualization strategy, which allows us to tap into the base layer, Thorchain base layer pool, to create a certain depth in the order book. We know that we have effectively Thorchain base layer pools that backstop the system for the liquidation. On top of that, we'll have all the strategies, consolidated liquidity, XYK, all the strategy living on the app layers that also backstop this liquidation. And then you will have all people, like regular people, just putting either limit order at fixed price if they want that. But the real game here will be playing the liquidation by putting orders at a discount to the oracle price. And that recreates exactly the same experience that we had back in the day on Terra, but by fully using all the different pieces, all the different components of the ecosystem. So that's super exciting. And this is going to come with a new UI, a completely new UI that will be very data-driven. We look at all the debt position on the platform and have a sort of a heat map. I don't know, you may have seen those heat maps, a few of the analytics site provides us for centralized exchange, where you see like a price chart, and then at every level of price, you see based on the depth in the system, what will be the quantity of asset being liquidated. And that will allow to inform people on where to put their bids and how to strategize to optimize the discounts at which they should bid to to try to catch one of those weeks when market crash, and that's a beautiful proposition for user, because even without any discounts, if you buy on the liquidations, that means that you really are buying the local low. You are buying at a point where suddenly nobody was expecting the price to go that down, and you get liquidated. But if you can not only buy the local low but at a discount, it's a beautiful product, and that's also create a kind of anti-cyclical mechanism where at least users of Rujira liquidation are able to make money on the day where the rest of the market is bleeding. So that's super exciting. That's the number one thing that is keeping us busy those days, that have been starting to test on Testnet, and that we are building the UI for. We have the UI already for CDP. We are building the UI for liquidation as well. All of that is coming together, so it's really exciting. After that, we'll also do right after CDP, I think we'll do first spot margin trading, then probably the stablecoin, and eventually futures. I don't know which order, so it will take a bit more work and time to get there. But it's really like once we have created an account and it's audited, most of the pieces really are there. And it's mostly a UI work and a bit of instantiation of contract with different parameters. So it's super exciting, and it's really getting very close. So that's one thing. There is a ton of other things going on, and I'm happy to dive into other stuff as well. But I'll give you an opportunity to react and ask question already.
Yeah. So yeah, and here's the thing. Anyone listening, there is a lot to break down here. Okay. And real quick before I take a few steps back here, Pragmatic, you don't sound too bad to me, Pragmatic, but I've heard there's a few people in the audience who are saying maybe if you could try and clean up your audio just a little bit, but no, yeah, so maybe just try that a little bit. But okay, let's take a step back here. So Pragmatic Monkey just dropped like 50 nuclear bombs right there. Okay. So let's just, but I really want to walk and just tell people like how this all works here. So you have Thorchain, right? Thorchain is an infrastructure, it's swap, it's decentralized liquidity pools. Rujira, the app layer, that's built on top of that, okay? Rujira, they share half of the fees. This is subject to change in the future, we shall see. But it's 50-50, goes like whatever the app layer gets, they keep half. The half goes to Thorchain for providing the security here, okay? So Pragmatic Monkey, one thing I want people to understand is a lot of people, when they hear about a network, whether it's Rujira app network or any other network, there's always this distance, right? There's a distance between the person learning about a concept and this new name. The thing I really want you to understand, to the listener here, is that all of these DeFi primitives can actually be built into the wallet of your choice. Rujira is going to build on the basically a plugin that'll slot into this. So if this sounds like your mind, what you're doing right now is like, okay, this is something different, I'm gonna have to learn something. No, this is something that can come to you. And this is why on this space, I really want to appeal to developers and other members of other communities to tell people to reach out to Rujira Network to get the dialogue started, get the partnerships going, because this is everything. What Pragmatic Monkey said, everything is on chain, particularly when he talked about liquidations, right? There's always this distance. There's this maybe this order book that's hidden, below, that you don't have access to. And so when liquidations happen, like, who comes first and all this stuff, and who gets like the reward, and like that's abstracted away a lot of the time. With Rujira Network, it's completely different. Everything is going to be on chain. Everything will be auditable, all open source code. This is really for the first time a DEX, right? This is a DEX that utilizes the technology of Thorchain and Rujira, which was previously Kujira, right? He talked a little bit about that. All of this is coming together. This is very, very exciting. So Pragmatic Mike, one of my questions I have for you, and this is a legitimate question for me, because I've never bid for liquidations before. This is a new thing for my brain. If I am a believer in the Rujira network, okay, and I own Ruji and I have Ruji staked, when it comes to liquidations, is this something that Rujira stakers, the Ruji holders, do they get a piece of that pie too, or is this mostly like the people who are bidding for these liquidations. Does that make sense? Like, what is the dynamic between liquidations and the fee reward structure between the people who bid for those liquidations and the people who stake Rujira?
So it's a very good question. It's a win-win for all here. So for the person who bids, you get to buy the local low, and then you can resell it if you want to take a quick profit, because you buy at a discount, and even if it's crashing, well, you sell back at market price, and you should be okay. But ideally, like I mean, it's up to you how you want to play the game, but you can also like just keep buying on the liquidation, and usually after you get this big red day, you have a bounce and sell on the bounce and make a lot of money. Like, we have very creative members in the community doing all sorts of strategies, and once it will be live, I'm sure a lot of people will share how they play this game. So there is a clear win for anybody participating as a liquidator, effectively, and that's a very unique thing, because we are talking about, yeah, it's open source, it's transparent, everything can be verified. But more importantly, everybody also can, or as importantly, everybody can participate. So open source and transparent is a big win versus centralized exchange, where in liquidation, you have actually no clue. You have to trust their API. Nobody can verify. We have seen in the last few days, like, it's billions, tens of billions being liquidated. Who make all those profits? Usually it's the exchange themselves. If they don't have enough capital, mandated market makers also take a share of the pie. And conditions for liquidation are horrible. But even on chain, like nowhere else can you participate. So that's one thing. You can participate, and you can make a profit by effectively buying the super low and selling back at a little premium. Then for the protocol, if you are Rujira stackers, or if you are also top chain rune bonders, you benefit as well, because what I was saying is all those liquidations are processed as market order on Rujira trade. So it means every time there is a liquidation, there is a market order, which will be charged a taker fee, and this taker fee is split between the Thorchain and Rujira. So that's a first level of value accrual. So we win there. But on top of that, on liquidations, when you get liquidated, there is an extra little fee. Won't be much, but probably a few bips as well. And that's liquidation fees. Will also be earned as a system income and shared between Thorchain and Rujira. So we have two levels of value accrual via this process, via the order book and via the liquidation directly. So it's really like it's a beautiful model, and everything we do, we try really here to build a sustainable business. So we have to have we put a small fair fee. We really not try to make anything like outrageous, but we do what we need to be able to have a business on the token, because at the end all the value accrue to the token that is worth holding, and that as we grow accrue more cash flow to token holders, and everybody not only can participate in this liquidation, but can also own a piece of this fully fledged omni-chain DeFi ecosystem available with native assets from all those chains. You can own a piece of it by owning Rujira and stacking Rujira and get a share of those cash flow. So that's very very unique and very core to the old school vision of DeFi, which was to create a fair, transparent financial ecosystem. But also the other part of that is the ownership part, which is very key. You have to also distribute the system widely as possible with the token, and people by participating now are effectively super early in participating in this vision we have. And doing so, you become an owner, and being an owner means you get your pro rata share of the cash flow of the platform. And we don't keep any of the fees as a revenue for the team or anything like that. It's 100% distributed to Thorchain and Rujira stackers. So that's how it accrue value to both the stackers and of course people that participate.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so what's really interesting about that, and I have a question for you in a second here, is that on Thorchain specifically, because it's swaps, right? When there is volatility in the market, like really big up days or maybe down and up days, right? Like Thorchain, whether it goes up or down, people are generally kind of happy because it means swap volume, right? It's just because of all the arbitrage in the market, and people who bond their ruin, they eat a lot, right? What's really cool about liquidations on Rujira, it kind of has that same relationship. I mean, you could make the argument that perps is similar as well, but if we're having all these liquidations or whatever's going on in Rujira, then that is just lots of fees being generated for these Rujiran stakers, and of course, the people who are bidding for these liquidations are winning. So one thing here I want to ask you, Pragmatic Monkey, someone who's like new to this ecosystem, they just witnessed something quite horrific in the market recently where we had a terrible downturn in the market that was just insane. And people who only took like small leverage positions still got wiped out because the price oracle, or whatever you want to say, just went, died essentially. And a lot of people on Binance got hurt. A lot of people got hurt everywhere. But when we look at Rujira's oracle, which is something called Enshrined Oracle, it held up just fine during that, probably one of the most tumultuous days in the history of blockchain. It performed just fine. So people who are listening to this are wondering, like, okay, like, but everything's on chain. Okay, cool. Like, I guess that's awesome, but so what? Like, is the system better? So, Pragmatic Monkey, I want to kick it back to you. Like, why was the price oracle, the enshrined oracles, why did they perform better on Rujira? And had we had liquidations available at the time, what is the big difference there between what happened on the centralized land and then what we're building on the Rujiran DeFi land?
So there are two levels here. First, there is the source of your oracles and how the price is built. In DeFi, I don't know what went wrong with the oracle provider, like the Chainlink and Pith of this world, but normally you should have systems to remove outliers. And I think it was one issue specifically with the Binance API, which is the biggest source of everyone. And it looks like some of those platforms were just taking the Binance price effectively and reporting that as the only source of truth. And so when Binance API went crazy and reported a zero price, it crashed the entire DeFi lands that were relying on that. If you're on the centralized exchange or so, same question, like what price source do you use to decide to liquidate your users? And if you use your own order book, and your order book is a bit shallow, and there is one big order to sell, and suddenly you drop the price to zero, boom, you can also blow your users, even if actually the price you use to liquidate is not representative of the overall market price. And that's even worse on centralized exchange because you cannot even know that. Like you have no clue. Zero transparency on this process. All you know is suddenly you have been liquidated. You don't know what oracle price was used, what source of truth was there to judge that you should be liquidated. You don't know which discount, and it's totally opaque, and you get wrecked. What we do with Enshrined Oracle is very powerful. It's the opposite of that. So the way we build those Enshrined Oracle is that it takes price not from just one source, but from many different sources. So it's directly done at the core of Thorchain. Not each node operator run now a little software that every block queries the price from a lot of different API, from Binance, of course, but also from Coinbase, Kraken, Mexi, like a lot of different places. And soon we are going to also add decentralized exchange into the mix. And then they just take those prices. They are going to weight those prices by volumes to get a more accurate picture of what's a fair price. And they will also remove outliers. So then you can have a sort of an average and a median. And if you see that somebody is completely off, that probably means something is wrong there, and you just remove it. And every block repeats this at the beginning of the block, and this allows us to have a much more reliable source. So it was a great chart being shared about how our Oracle performed, and you could see that it was very much tracking the overall market price, where at the same time was the Binance price or whatever that went to zero. So that's a much more robust way of defining the source of truth. But there is, I was surprised actually not certain non-enshrined Oracle provider, we are not doing something similar because some on-chain places had issue as well. But there is, even if the external Oracle provider were doing that's right, which I am sure some of them do. Probably Chainlink is very robust, and there's no issue to have with their own system. There is still a big risk when you use a third party to provide you the Oracle. It's that it can always be front run, because if you need to consume a price from another protocol or source that is external to your on blockchain, to your node operators, that means by the time your node operators get, or your DApp effectively, because it will not even go through directly the node operator in that case, by the time your DApp gets the new price in its block, this price had to be published and be known before the start of the block, which means people can know already what the price is going to be in the next block, which means they can front run you. So you can see like, oh, if suddenly there is a big move in your Pyth Oracle price, oh, now I know next at the end of next blocks it's going to go down. So I'm going to get into the block and open a very high leverage short position, and I'm going to close it at the end of the block. And if you are especially a node operator, you could use that, because you can also order choose the order of the transaction. You can use that to front run the Oracle and extract value. But even without being a node operator, there is ample rooms here to just knowing this information, open a high leverage position, short, and front run the Oracle. And so you create this very at the end weak setup where you always have like you can know the future in advance effectively, and therefore there will always be some sophisticated players that will take advantage of that. With Enshrined oracles, nobody can know at the start of the block what's going to be the next price, because the price consensus mechanism is happening inside the block. It's at the beginning of the block. That's where all the node operator will provide their source and run this little software and calculate weight by volumes and eliminate the outlier and come up with a price for this block. And then people can also put their transaction, and nobody can know for sure at the beginning of the block what will be the price at the end of the block. So it's a much more robust system. You cannot front run it because you cannot know before the block starts what the price will be, because the price is formed inside the block at the same time that transaction are being executed. So that's very powerful, and that's put us in a much stronger position to build a levered system, because Oracle will not be able to be abused the same way you can abuse third-party oracles.
Right. Okay. So, you guys, this is freaking phenomenal. And beforehand, earlier on, we've had some things be delayed on Rujira app layer because people in both communities realize that, hey, this Oracle situation, if you were to, because I think the price feeds were related to the pools on Thorchain itself in the very, very beginning, right? And there was a lot of concern was like, hey, if you manipulate these pools on Thorchain, right, then people who are using the app layer obviously are going to be affected, and this is a potentially an attack vector. So we went back to the drawing book, thinking ahead, right? Thinking ahead. This is a really powerful thing about this community. It's like we see a problem, we don't wait for people to get hurt. We think of an innovative solution, and that's how we came with Enshrined Oracles. And anyone listening to this, whether it's live or recording, I want to give you, I just want to spell out the Rujira it's at Rujira Network. Rujira is spelled R-U-J-I-R-A. Romeo, Uniform, Julia, India, Romeo, Alpha Network. It's all one word, okay? If you go down to October 6th, I pinned it up there, but I know they disappear in the recording. Go down to October 16th, and it has a complete breakdown of the performance of the Enshrined Oracle on Rujira Network relative to everyone else. And it's obviously the correct design to use. Okay, so we are building something here that is not only robust, open source, but it's better. It's a better system because the communities of Rujira Network and Thorchain, we follow the first principles, we think ahead, and we build a design, a framework, which anyone can participate, and it is the most fair and robust system. Going back to something earlier Pragmatic Monkey said, This is how centralized exchanges have made a lot of their money. It's through liquidations. But now we are emancipating that process where anyone can now be a participant in earning that yield. Whether you're a Rujira staker, of course, but you yourself now can bid for this. This is absolutely huge. Okay. And again, we're just getting started, you guys. We're just getting started here. This is the very beginning of a revolution in DeFi that has never been witnessed before. This is amazing. So if you are listening to this, you need to reach out to these teams because we are in go mode. We now have the bones in place. We're building out the foundation. We've taken our time. We're building it right. And now we build up. Now we build up. So absolutely amazing, Pragmatic Monkey. I know there's more things you want to talk about. Guys, again, I put up in there, if you go to the pin message on Rujira Network, they have a roadmap. You need to spend some time. Learn about Rujira, learn about Thorchain, because this is a huge, huge deal. I could not be more excited. Pragmatic Monkey, I'll kick it back to you. Is there anything else you want to talk about this, or do you want to move on to another part of Rujira? Because I know you have a lot of things you want to talk about.
Okay, so maybe just to sum up everything here, effectively with liquidation, what we will provide to any user from any connected chain is the ability to buy your native Bitcoin, your native XRP, your native whatever is your favorite L1 assets at the lowest price available across all the markets. And especially this will happen when we have big red days. So you can buy the local low at a discount, and you can do that nowhere else. So if you want to buy cheap Bitcoin, go on Rujira.network and start liquidate.
There we go. There we go, you guys. Again, layer ones out there, communities. This is for you. This levels you up, right? Like all the stuff we talk about, yeah, Thorchain, Rujira, we earn fees on this, but this is utility for your layer one. And honestly, I think it's like an arms race. The first layer one to really embrace this stuff, and I've been reaching out to Tron, XRP, things like that. You guys really can build something and make your asset something truly special because, again, any DeFi primitive that exists on a centralized exchange or whatever, or if you're whether you're just keeping your assets on a centralized exchange and you're swapping, that does not translate to real layer one activity. If you conduct your business, if you build with Thorchain, with Rujira, and you're using these primitives, that is going to translate to real layer one native activity for your blockchain, which will be metrics that you can show that you are getting more adoption on your side. This is a win-win-win. Win for Thorchain, win for Rujira, win for you. So you got to reach out. I can't emphasize this enough. This is really the golden opportunity to build something and for everyone to establish themselves. The amount of time we spent building this infrastructure, it's been 5 brutal years of just bleeding out of our eyeballs. Thorchain has struggled, but we're now in a position where we have finally figured out, working a lot of the kinks, we're ossifying, and now we have something beautiful. Rujira Network. We have joined forces, and I love the stage right now, Pragmatic Monkey. I don't know how it goes on. It's either mixed match, but you've got green on one side, you got purple on the other. It's beautiful. Maybe some people are co-hosts of swap, so you have green, purple, green, purple. This is wonderful. I love it. This is so poetic. The aesthetics make me happy. We got Thorchain on the left, Rujira on the right.
I love you on today. You make me happy.
You know what I'm saying? This is a great time, guys. This is a very exciting time. I know everyone, we've worked so hard for these days, but we're here, you guys. We are here, but all of us have to work together to push this message out there, to let the world know what we have built and that they no longer have to be victimized by a poor design, not necessarily intentionally victimized. I don't want to throw shade, but it's just a poor design, right? We have built the thing that was always meant to be the first principles, the original white papers of blockchain, what everyone's envisioned. We are here. It is time to spread the word. Okay, enough of that. Pragmatic Monkey, do you want to move on to another topic of Rujira by chance?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do it.
Maybe just one more topic on
Sure.
one more word on integrators and building on top of what we are doing. For any wallet provider, any alternative front-end operators that want to integrate, we will also have, it's not ready yet, but that will be a part of the things we prioritize in the roadmap. We'll have a referral and affiliate systems that will also allow you to monetize all that by offering it to your users. So really get in touch and get ready for when we will be able to share of the profit with you as well.
Can we break that down just a little bit? Guys, I really want you to understand, if you're listening to this, if you are a builder, anything that happens on a centralized exchange, whether it's swaps or a DeFi primitive, that's your margin. If someone has to leave your wallet or your interface and send their assets to a centralized exchange to do the things they want to do, you are losing. That's your money that you are losing. And as Pragmatic Monkey just said, reach out and you can offer the same primitives that are built on Rujira and Thorchain, and that you can charge a fee for. You are providing a service to your customer because your customers like your wallet, they like your interface, they like your security posture, they are comfortable with you. They are uncomfortable when they have to send their assets to a centralized exchange. Be there for them, add these primitives, and make some money, which is your money. Okay, sorry, Pragmatic. I'll kick it back to you.
Yeah, okay, cool. So next, so we have discussed credit accounts and liquidation. One thing that I'm personally also very excited about is what we have labeled Fin 1.1. So Rujitrade, the next iteration of Rujitrade with a few upgrades in there. Notably, I'm not gonna get into the full list. There is issues with details available on the Cheat Labs for the one who want to check. But this is basically ready and just funding for it to go live. There is one important update into that, which is multiple market makers for Rujitrade. And what that means is, so currently, if you think of the order book, you can, when we plugged in, so the order book aggregates liquidity for a lot of different sources. You have user orders, like regular limit orders, also Oracle orders, and then you have automated market making strategy. At the moment, you can only have one automated market making strategy. So, for example, we have talked in the past about the virtualization strategy, which is now live and being tested, not yet audited, so we are not scaling it up yet, but this is coming as well. But this virtualization strategy is really, sorry, the mechanism that allow us to tap into Thorchain 150 million of liquidity in the base layer pool. However, currently, if you set the virtualization strategy as the automated market maker for a given pair, it means we cannot add other market making strategy. And this upgrade of Rujitrade will allow us to have actually multiple ones. So it means in the same pair, let's say you are on the BTC USDC pair, we'll be able to have together aggregate liquidity from user orders, from the base layer via the virtualization strategy, but also from concentrated liquidity that live on the app layer. And that's also something that is coming soon. But even before that, we already have like XYK pool on the app layer. And that's just having those two will start to be very interesting, because suddenly the XYK pool on the app layer will it's live already, and what it does, it puts bids at fixed price level till a bid is consumed, and it resets where he has to put his new bids. But it has it has bids at different levels of price, both on the buy and the sell side. And once you add to that the virtualization strategy is repricing the order every block based on whatever is the state of the base layer pool or the two base layer pool involved for this pair. So if we are talking about BTC USDC, it will be the state of the Rune USDC pool and the state of the BTC Rune pool. And that means that suddenly, as long as you have like a volatility and price moving on the base layer, which happen all the time because there is a lot of volume there and crypto is volatile, every time price move enough, it will create effectively an arbitrage opportunity, and the virtualization strategy will start trading against the XYK strategy. And that's gonna start to create like recurring flow of volumes on Rujitrade, which is quite exciting. With XYK, it will be highly capital inefficient, but once we have consolidated liquidity, this will become much more interesting, because suddenly we can arbitrage larger volumes, and we can just make more volumes, and therefore not only facilitate more volume for traders, for people who use limit market orders, but also generate more fees for our stackers. So that's quite exciting. Then there is another upgrade in the pipeline, which is Rujira Pools version 1.1. And this one is also like one that I'm very excited as well. I'm a big fan of the order book and this dual model of order book and IMM being separated and working one with another. And one of the key things that this new version of Rujira Pool will allow is to separate the yield from the principal. And that's very good because that's effectively how Uniswap v3 works currently. When you provide liquidity on Uniswap v3 or v4, you have the two tokens, the pair you provide inside a given range, and then the yield accrues separately, and periodically you can claim the yield. And it's a much better UX because first you can track much more accurately how much you are earning from your position. But it's also very interesting because suddenly it allows all sorts of automation, and you can provide liquidity and with Auto Rujira, for example, which is building all this automation layer, you will be able to LP and then decide what you are going to do with your cash flow. And you can like periodically start to claim your yields. You will be able to either auto compound this yield if you just want to grow the LP, or you will be able to do things with this yield. And then you can have an automation that periodically claims this yield and do certain things. For example, repay a loan. So you get self-repaying loan out of it, or swap everything back to BTC, or swap everything back to BTC, deposit BTC as collateral on Rujira lending, sorry, in the credit accounts, and then open a leverage position to bid on liquidation at a discount and keep this position in your credit account. So it means like effectively you are certain that if you bid on Bitcoin and buy at a discount to market price, when the price goes down, you will be instantly making a profit, especially if your collateral is Bitcoin. It will be a delta neutral profit. So there is a ton of cool strategies that we can build on top of that, and that's going to start to open the field also for of people, of strategies to come and build on top of what we have. Auto Rujira will provide a framework allowing everybody to easily create strategy and even have a marketplace where you can launch your strategy effectively, give it access to other people and collect a little fee. So that's also another opportunity to do stuff on Rujira if you are a builder or if you are just a very experienced DeFi enthusiast. You will have also a way here to monetize. So that's another thing in the pipe. Then there is concentrated liquidity. This one, so we have Javier working on it, is making very good progress. And for me, that's also going to be one of the game changer in terms of liquidity, at least, because it will allow both to have much deeper liquidity on the app layer and therefore be able to facilitate more volume. And via the mechanism I was mentioning, arbitrage via the virtualization strategy against the base layer pool and create those volumes. But it also will be, I think, a very important feature to attract users, because suddenly, like we know, like there is over 6-7 billion of TVL on Uniswap v3. That's 7 billion of assets that people put at work to generate yields by being market makers. We will offer, and it's a great UX. It's simple. It's much more capital efficient than XYK. You can set your range. If you have a price at which you're happy to own, let's take again the example of a BTC USDC pair. If you are like, okay, at $70,000, I'm happy to be 100% in Bitcoin. At $250, I'm happy to be 100% in USDC. And inside this range, I'm happy to provide market and buy and sell and effectively generate a yield on the volatility. And you can just set your order. And as long as the price stays in your range, you will generate a yield. You do that, you provide a service for the network, which is adding liquidity. And you can generate an income out of this. And it's a very, and then you can do also stuff I was saying about automation of what you do with this income. And that's a very good and proven use case. And we will have something that is similar, even I would say, let's see, the implementation is not finished, but I think even a bit more advanced than what you can do on Uniswap v3. And And that, I think, will be key to attract new users. And we have also this very unique proposition, which is for the first time, you will be able to do that with native BTC if you want. So, or any other native assets all in one place. And BTC is the king because you have a ton of liquidity from wrapped BTC on Uniswap. But wrapped BTC at the end is issued by BitGo, a centralized intermediary. It's custodied into a two of three multisig somewhere, and BitGo can freeze you, can censor you for whatever reason, request you to KYC, or if you don't tick the right box, may just prevent you from getting your token back. And they can also get hacked because the trust model at the end is very weak versus Thorchain multi-party computational vaults that rely on a decentralized set of 120 validators to secure the same Bitcoin. So here, for the first time, you will be able to do the same things that you do on Uniswap, but instead of using a wrapped version of BTC, you will use the real stuff in the form of a secured asset. So that's very exciting as well. Very much looking forward to that one. Do you want to take a break? Do you have any questions on that?
Yeah. So there's a lot to a lot of juice to be squeezed from these lemons here. Okay, so I love to go on the last part. Like your BitCo statement is absolutely 100% bang on. And for those who don't know, we actually have a WBTC pool on Thorchain, and people swap to and from BTC to WBTC all the time, completely bypassing the third-party intermediary, right? Which is an incredible innovation by Thorchain itself. But to Pragmatic Monkey's point is, when you are using the app layer, and let's say you have Bitcoin, for example, it's not layer one Bitcoin. It is a secured asset, secured Bitcoin that goes to Thorchain's vaults, right? And as he said, there's 120 nodes, and the security posture of Thorchain is extremely robust, much better than BitGo's 2 of 3 multisig, right? It's not even on the same thing. And so, okay, so when people use Rujira network with their layer one, they have the secured asset, which is, of course, is the representation of the layer one. One thing I want to break down a little bit, something you mentioned earlier, you're talking about pools, like you're going to be having these Rujira pools, right? On the app layer, there's already pools on Thorchain, right? And the pools on Thorchain are layer one real pools, okay? Real Bitcoin, real Ethereum, real AVAX, all that stuff. On the app layer, these pools are going to be the secured assets, right? That are, I'm assuming they're going to be paired with Ruji. Is that right, Pragmatic Monkey? What are they?
No,
Are they by
that
themselves?
would be a terrible model. Yeah, so I will be fair. What at the end is whatever people want, but we don't want. I mean, Rune has this very unique design, where they pair everything with Rune, but fundamentally that's not a great design, because then you tie the performance of your token,
right,
and
right.
the size of your liquidity to the performance of other assets. So if other assets go down, you pay the price for it, and that's that. It's fine if you only pair with big blue chips, Bitcoin, ETH, but once you start to extend the list, for sure there will be loser, and you are gonna, via effectively hoping via your token, your pool are gonna be used as exit liquidity. People will keep adding the bad assets into your pool and take the good asset, the BTC, the stablecoin, USDC, whatever, from your pool. So that's fundamentally a design, I think, that is not great. But it also means that if your token, for whatever reason, is underperforming, which has been the case recently for Rune, like everybody knows about that, is complaining about it, it means that it weighed down on the liquidity of your pool as well. And then your very capability to make money, your more important raw material, which is the liquidity in your pool, suddenly can go south because your token goes south. And there is a very negative flywheel there, because suddenly your token go down, you have less liquidity, you can facilitate less volume. Less volumes mean less fees, which means less cash flow occurring to your token, which means less fundamental value, which means token goes down. So it's very much something we don't want to do with Ruji, sorry. And the pair will be mostly USDC pairs. So you have whoever provide liquidity only has to bet on the stability of the token that is not a stablecoin. We'll also have USDT pair for people who prefer USDT over USDC. Eventually, when we are on stablecoin, we also likely do pairs with our unstable coin. And very importantly, we also want to do a native BTC pair. So use BTC. Everybody like and love BTC. It's a king. A lot of people, at least in the crypto space, denominate their wealth in BTC and not in dollar. And so it makes perfect sense that rather than just using centralized stable coins to create pairs and provide liquidity, we also offer liquidity with native BTC. And that will be the only place, Registrate, where you can have list your token and have it paired with native BTC. So that's how it's going to work. And then depending on demand, we can always create more pool, more pairs. Of course, there is a constraint to that, which is the more we create, the more we have to index, and the more operational cost it adds to if you want to keep up providing this great UI where you have everything under one roof and all those info. But technically, it's very easy to add any sort of pairs and add more pools and create whatever there is demand for.
Okay, so I have something interesting there. So, you kind of hinted about, like, we could have our own stable coin, right? And this is something that's really interesting to me because, all the stable coins right now, of course, they're exogenous assets. Do we have a design for the if there's a stable coin that's going to happen on the Rujira app layer? Like, how would that work, essentially?
So with credit account, we haven't spec'd out the things exactly yet, but the beauty of credit account and the flexibility it has, we can do both model. And what I'm not sure yet, but hopefully we can do the two model at the same time with the same stable behind it and let people mint the way they prefer. But we can do easily a CDP stablecoin, which is the DAI model, effectively, battle proven. You deposit BTC, native BTC. You take, you mint this new stablecoin against it, and you, as long as you remain below a certain LTV level, it's all good. If you go above, you get liquidated, and you have this the margin between the max LTV and the market price as buffer to liquidate safely the collateral if market goes down. So that's one way, but it's a bit capital inefficient because when you do that, when you LTV necessarily has to be below 100%. Otherwise, the closer you are to 100%, the less margin of safety you have to guarantee protocol solvency in case of strong price movement to the downside. Then we can also do because credit accounts allow us, by combining those stablecoin design, allow us to also create the future markets. And then having a future market means we can create a stablecoin using the same model as ITNA, but ITNA stablecoin. So what they do is effectively you have they use wrap stack ETH mostly, I think, as collateral, which is interesting because it has a yield in itself. But then they create a short position, so they create a delta neutral position by opening a short of the exact same size as the collateral deposited. And this position is really yielding because most of the time in crypto, when you open a short on a pairs market, there's always a bias toward long. And so when you create a short, the short are being paid by the long, the funding rates, and so it creates a yield. So instead of paying with the CDP for your position, you get paid for minting the stablecoin. So that's also very interesting as a design. But of course, because it's delta neutral, in that case, it means that you lose the exposure to your collateral. So if I take one BTC and I open a short equivalent to the value of one BTC, now I have the value of my BTC will be effectively locked at the value when I open my position, because all profits that I will make when BTC price goes up will be cancelled by the short position. Now, if I use a CDP model to mint my position, That means that the value of my collateral can go up or down. So I still have this full 1 BTC. It means that I have, if the price goes down enough, if I don't repay part of the stablecoin I need, I can be liquidated. But if price goes up, and most of the people are in crypto are long-term bullish on the price of Bitcoin, and most crypto assets that have a sensible monetary policy, just because of the nature of our fiat systems that's always required to expand via ever more issuance of new fiat money, which is effectively debt. So mechanically, over time, you debase the currency and the price of assets that finite supply go up. So knowing that, a lot of people want to keep the exposure to Bitcoin, and that you can do only if you have a CDP model. So I think the two go very well together, and technically we can do the two. And the only question I'm not sure about is, can we do the two with the same stablecoin? Hopefully we can find a solution for that. And if that's the case, then it would be very good. And maybe a bit of alpha on just the name of the stablecoin. So we have been brainstorming a lot and speaking with the community in the past few days. And our latest favorite is just calling it $1, $1, OANE, because it's pegged like to $1, but it's also a fairly differentiated name versus doing yet another USD, RG, RT, whatever. So that might be it. No decision yet for sure, but I personally like it very much. Opinions are always divided on this type of topics, but it might be the one.
I like that. And, this is exactly when I wish Kenton was actually here, because for me, guys, just being 100% transparent, I don't do leverage. I don't do any of that stuff. I absolutely refuse, because I'm worried that it'll become pathological and I'll ruin my life. So I just mostly I'm a buy and hold. I understand what he's saying, but there is a little level that I wish Kenton was here, because this is his wheelhouse. So I'd like to call on the Australian government to arrest Kenton and deport his ass back to the Caribbean, so he can get on these spaces with me and help me with Pragmatic Monkey here, because this is right up his alley. So damn it, Kenton, come back, because I need you here. But okay, but let me ask a lower IQ question, because that's what I need to do right now. So there's something maybe I'm just missing here. Like right now, in the beginning we talked about exogenous stable coins. Right, that's what we talked about. Right, so what is the advantage? Why would Rujira want to have its own internal stable coin? What are the advantages of that, and are there reflexivity risks to that? Can we break that down? That's something I'm not quite understanding.
So I'll start with the reflexivity. There's absolutely zero reflexivity. Reflexivity depends on the model.
Because they get liquidated, right? The person they get, so it's on them.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's on them. Like there is no link whatsoever between Ruji or Rune and the stablecoin. We are not doing UST by Terra, where you can mint to infinity and redeem always at a certain number of Ruji. Like we know very well from the Terra days. This doesn't work as algorithmic stablecoin. This is not what we are doing here. Here we only use exogenous asset as collateral, and most likely will you just use native BTC. And then I was mentioning two different models. And one is the CDP model. So you can always end up with bad debt if there is a very violent move down on the system, and for some reason there is not enough liquidity across the entire crypto ecosystem to liquidate on time those BTC as price goes down and repays this debt. It could create some bad debt in the system, but that's very unlikely if you use an asset like BTC, which is super liquid. And if we get there, I think we'll all have a lot of other problems with the rest of the ecosystem of the broad, not just the Thorchain, but the broad crypto ecosystem in general. And then you have the delta neutral model, which is what I was mentioning, the Etna model, effectively. And in that case, your position is delta neutral, so there is no liquidation possible, unless, of course, you have those automated deleveraging, as we have seen when we had the big volatility days of day in the past few weeks. But here, like this hasn't been the case, and we'll come up with a design. Let's see once we get to implement that, but we can come up with a clever design, for example, to make sure that if you if you liquidate for some reason a delta neutral position, you I mean, maybe the beauty of credit accounts, you can define user preference. So we could also like let people decide that it's a very unlikely event that we have to liquidate your delta neutral position. What do you want? Do you want us to also sell at the same time your BTC, so you realize whatever was the value at the time you opened this position, or do you want to effectively just take the price risk and keep your BTC and try to ride it back up, or take the risk that it goes further down. So that's our implementation details we'll see once we get there. But back to the core question, no reflexivity risk, especially, I mean, there is no link whatsoever to Ruji or Rune in the implementation we are making.
Can I, okay.
And,
oh, sorry.
I was going to go back to your first question, which was about why doing that in the first place. But yeah, if you have a question.
Well, I think I might be able to, I'm thinking I might be able to answer it myself now. So because we use exogenous assets in stable coins, this involves a third party, essentially. Even maybe people think it's robust. So like, but I know some people like Boone, for example, he says, well, you know, USDC, this is something that could eventually be used to, you know, censor, or they could, you know, blacklist an asset, whatever. But by people depositing exogenous layer 1 collateral on the network and then deriving a stable coin from that, which is subject to liquidation, so the risk is on the person deploying the capital, does that not just remove this potential attack vector and makes the Rujira network more resilient against like any, is that the main value proposition there, which I really like if it is?
Yeah, exactly. That's the main value proposition that you are spot on. It's about, and again, like we will have different flavor for whether a lot of people prefer USDC because actually they trust US banks and they know it's a US company and it's audited and they track they do audits and you know that you have $1 or $1 worth of government bonds backing it, and they will always want to use USDC over decentralized version. But there are people that are much more sensitive to decentralization, and for them, like the idea of actually having a centralized issuer issuing your stablecoin, meaning that he can freeze your position or if he decides to in arbitrary fashion, having a truly decentralized stablecoin is a very strong value proposition. And that's what we bring to the table. It's an asset, a stablecoin that is truly permissionless and censorship resistant. There will be no function whatsoever in the contract allowing anyone to freeze a balance. And so you can use it, and eventually we'll be able to export it as well with bind assets. And it can be used as a truly decentralized form of money, but that is not exposed to crypto volatility.
That's brilliant.
So that's the key part, really. The other lower benefit, I would say, is if you like, because what you do effectively when you mint a stablecoin, it's a way. You were saying earlier that you don't use leverage and you only buy and hold. But if you just buy and hold, that means that you are building up a massive bag of certain tokens. You will never, of course, it's a bit different if your token generate a yield, because then you get an income. But let's say you buy and hold Bitcoin. At some point, you have to cash out. Otherwise, you get very rich on paper. But if you never get to use this money, it doesn't bring you the societal benefits that money allow you in our modern world. So you have to have a way to cash out. And your only way to cash out with Bitcoin is, well, you have two ways. Either you sell it, or if you don't want to sell because you really believe it's going to keep appreciating versus the dollar, then you can borrow against it. And as long as you borrow with, let's say, a 30% LTV max, like a fairly safe level, you can do that fairly safely with a very limited risk of liquidation, and it allows you to capitalize, to monetize your Bitcoin wealth without selling your Bitcoin, and hopefully it will keep appreciating over time, and you will be able to do more and more of that without selling any of it. And worst came to worst, one day you get liquidated, but you have still like made quite a bit of money. You have enjoyed the real life along the way, and you will still have something left after your liquidation. That's another very important proposition of money markets and usage. So that's why you would effectively mint the stablecoin, but you could achieve the exact same property of unlocking value from your Bitcoin by simply opening a CDP loan and borrowing USDC, for example, against your Bitcoin. That's something we will also allow. But the small benefits we have with a native stablecoin is that we mint it. We get to mint it, and so we only need the demand side of the equation. We don't need the supply side. And so for you to take a loan in USDC, we need people to come with their USDC, secure them as secured assets, and deposit them in the lending vault so you can borrow them. If we do that with a stable coin, with our own stable coin, we don't have to get anybody to deposit the stable coin. And so that means it can also help scale faster and more efficiently, effectively. Only one side of the equation to curate. There's a lot of caveats around that, and I don't think it's worth going into it now. But those are really the two things. Create a truly decentralized stablecoin that is censorship resistant, and two, potentially allow us to scale more efficiently by not needing to have also the supply side of USDC or USDT being provided to the platform to allow people to take loans.
That's brilliant. That's really brilliant. And you know, one thing, guys, me talking to Pragmatic Monkey, how my brain works, right? I want the first principles to be completely in line. I want something like Thorchain, Rujira network. I want something that's just going to last for decades. I want the first principles to be so rock solid that the system is just dynamite, right? And this liquidation mechanism in terms of the stablecoin, that's exactly what my brain loves to hear. It makes me very, very, very happy. Pragmatic Monkey, I want to take a big step back real quick and ask just a basic question about overall the Rujira line. So, you know, all these secured assets and things like that. Now, in the beginning of the show, when I was talking about Thorchain, you don't need to have Rune to own Rune in order to use Thorchain, right? Because everything's taken from the beginning asset of a swap, the starting exogenous layer one. On the app layer, this is something that I haven't thought about for a while. What does the gas situation look like on Rujira? Do you need Rune? Can you use Ruji token for gas? Like, I know there was some debate about doing the design like that. Can we just, for people who don't know, like me, how does that look like?
So the gas token is Rune because we run on the Rune Thorchain and Rune blockchain. At the moment, it only allows Rune as a gas token, and we don't have a particular interest as making Ruji a gas token. It's really the role of Ruji is really allowing you to own a share of ownership and a share of the profit of this full DeFi ecosystem we are building. It doesn't need we have a lot of much more high value source of revenue with all the application we build. We don't need the gas token part. So it should be Rune. But the good thing is currently the gas price on the app layer is a Mimir parameter set by Thorchain node operators. And it's currently set at 0. So it means you can use the app layer without that. And there is a lot of issues with most wallets because nobody else you have blockchain with 0 gas. And by the way, this might change in the future. If people abuse it, we may be forced to set a gas price that is not negative, which is usually the reason why we have gas price in the first place in blockchains, to avoid denial of service type of attacks. But here, if you use Kepler wallets, now we have worked with them and they have fixed the issues they were having. So with Kepler wallet, you can set your gas to 0 and you won't have to pay any Rune to make it work. Now there are a few caveats to that. First, you always need to have, I think, 0.202 Rune in your wallet. Otherwise, certain things won't work just because of how Thorchain work. I don't know if that's something we could remove down the line. That would be nice. But for now, that's the case. And there will be certain type of operation, notably every time you want to sound a fund. So if you want to execute a smart contract on the app layer, you don't pay gas. However, if you want to do a message send transaction, so transfer funds from one Thorchain account to another Thorchain account, you will have to pay also gas.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Because that's a point of friction, right? Like someone who wants to use the app layer, you know, having to own Rune in order to use the app layer, that's a mental block a little bit. That's a step. But I'm just trying to think of ways where we could abstract that complexity away to make it hopefully a seamless process as possible, so people don't have to buy or hold Rune if they want to. But it sounds like it's probably a little. I mean, I think there's ways we can make this kind of simple. I mean, it's really not a big deal, but right, it is just one additional step that people have to do.
Yeah, no, it's annoying really, and
Yeah.
I think like for now this is kind of a down the line type of consideration, but eventually that's something I think we should find a solution to, and this will probably involve making some more change to the base layer. But yeah, ideally we should be able to abstract away the gas entirely on the app layer, and whether it's allowing people to pay with other tokens than just Rune, or keeping it at 0 and finding a way to make sure that you never need to have Runes. Like that's something we will need, I think, to figure out on the line.
You know,
low priority, but definitely a point of friction that's would be welcome to.
You know, I like the.
And there is also gasless transaction Maya is working on, which may be able to help reduce a bit of the friction, notably when you deposit asset on Thorchain. It may allow you to do that without having to have any Rune, which would be a nice win.
Yeah, you know, one thing that I kind of like conceptually is the control wallet. They have something called a gas tank, and I'm wondering if it would make sense if someone were to go to the ecosystem that maybe if you had like a gas tank right away, and that's something that prompted them. It's like, hey, if you want to use, you know, the app layer, you need to deposit some money into the gas tank. It doesn't have to be a lot, right? I mean, like $1, and you could go all day or something, right? I'm wondering if there's something like that we could do, just so, because they don't have to think about Rune, they don't have to think about anything. It's just, you know, it's like being in a car and you want to go forward, right? So you need gas. I don't know. I don't know. I want to think about it a little bit, but definitely something that I think we need. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. The gas tank, I mean, depend where you implement it. I don't know if you could implement that at account level. Maybe it's possible with so Hans the other day had this very interesting idea to actually make every single account on Rujira a smart account. So a credit account, effectively. You will not be obliged to use any debt from your credit account, and you can have still like credit account inside your credit account to segregate risk. So it will be totally transparent for users, but it will allow you to, if you want to take debt, just to do it without even having to deposit collateral somewhere. So that was just one idea, but I'm thinking if we make all accounts credit account, maybe there is something somewhere we can be done, but that's more a question for Hans, really.
Yeah.
Too deep into the weeds for me to provide a valid answer.
Yeah, out of the entire point of this conversation, the gas thing, that's the one point where my head just kind of hit a wall for just a little bit. Like, that is just a little bit of a hiccup there. I mean, it's not a big deal. I think we're going to figure it out, but maybe we can, you know, the community put their heads together and we'll come up with a really nice novel solution. Again, because it's all about just on-ramping the masses, right? Like we want to be bigger than Binance, not as big, not approach them. Eventually one day, you know, we want to be the infrastructure that everyone's using. And so now's the time to think about that, and maybe having the every account being the credit account, that actually might be a really novel solution. I don't really fully understand it conceptually all the way yet, but just thinking on it in a very simple, pragmatic way, if you will, that seems like it works. Okay, pragmatic.
Worst case, we could do that. So if we do it from we also have the station wallet that will roll out down the line, and a possible solution would also be to set up a sort of gas tank at the station wallet level, similar to what you got with CTRL wallet, which has this gas tank feature. So there are different ways. Like there is a range of options, and we'll definitely look to figure out something.
Yeah, and what we need too is like, if you, the thing is like, you have seconds, like the moment, because one thing I'm going to get really serious about, like, well, I'm always serious about pushing Rujira, but you know, there's going to be a lot of eyes on us really soon. I'm absolutely convinced of that. And that the one thing I really want us to nail is the first second that someone connects to Rujira, whatever way it is, whether it's through a third party or on the website, like there's just got to be this seamless process where we grab their attention and immediately convey the importance of how you use this with the gas or whatever it's going to be. So yeah, yeah, this is the problem to solve, I think, at this point. It sounds like everything else. I'm trying to poke holes into Rujira in real time. You know, I don't care. I believe, and I'm struggling to do that, but that is something that we'll work together and we'll figure out. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Something to think about and find a solution to eventually. Gas, the concept of gas should be abstracted away entirely. I think that's necessary to have a wide reach to the mass.
100%. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Is there anything else, Pragmatic Monkey, you want to add to that? I think we covered that pretty well, but is there anything else?
No, I think that's all. I could keep going on for a lot of other stuff that are coming, but those are, I would say, the main one. We have been going for 1.5 hours, so maybe we can take a few questions, and then if there's nothing else, wrap it up for this time. And I'd be happy to come back and discuss some of the other stuff we are doing or latest updates in the next episode.
Okay, I love it. Let's do that. We have AK Meme as a speaker. You want to go ahead and check your mic there, buddy? I'm going to give you a few more seconds, AK Meme, to frantically grab your phone and push the mic button and try and figure it out. Okay, no worries. Well, I'm gonna come back to you, okay? You go ahead and figure out your mic situation. Let's go to Eric from Mocha. How you doing, Eric? What do you got for us?
Is GM test mic test first?
Dude, you sound beautiful.
Oh, awesome.
Wow. Hey,
dude.
Eric.
I'm touching
Yeah.
grass right now, but I couldn't miss the Thorchain space, especially when you're speaking about Rujira and everything that's coming. And, you know, one thing that I really want to stress about is that I am a perps guy. I do a lot of, last month I did 8 figures in volume in other places. But what I want to tell Pragmatic Monkey is that, guys, I'm literally just waiting for a few more polishes that you are speaking about, and I'm definitely gonna move all of my perps ops to Rujira, and I cannot wait to actually test and see more volume there, because it's definitely something that is coming, and I want to be one of the first ones to do it with big volume.
Man, I'm loving what you are saying here. Just to manage expectation a bit, the current version of perps built by Levana, I'm not sure we are gonna scale that much. There are few issues with it, like it's not a great model, peer-to-pool, and I mean, okay, I don't want to go to dig too much into that, but I'm not sure they need a lot of liquidity to scale, and it's not really attractive for LP to provide liquidity there, which create a kind of conundrum. So wait for the version 2 of that will be built with credit accounts, that will be a peer-to-peer order book model similar to Hyperliquids, with a very sleek UI. It would be a Rujitrade UI, which I think people appreciate much more than the current perps UI, though the Levana team will be pushing an update to that to make it look closer to what we have. But this is coming, and once we have that, and I would love to also like get your early feedback on it. I won't ask you to provide any feedback on the existing one, because I don't see it as a long-term solution. But once we have the new version, we'd love to get your feedback first, and then hopefully we can make it very nice and without the tool you need, and you can start to move trading activity there. That would be very much appreciated.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that a lot of people might be missing is that they think that, oh, it's DEX season right now and it's perpetual season, futures, etc., leverage. Everyone's speaking about getting liquidated last week with the weeks with the news about tariffs between the US and China and all of that. But the reality is that the market is still very young in the sense that there's a lot of share that Ruji can take from the arguably the giants of the space. But I think that you guys are still on time to actually keep polishing what you have. And when you do, I'm gonna be one of your main, well, I want to be one of your main voices to push Ruji, because like I said, the competition already has a big market share, but there's not a lot of how can you call it, there's not a lot of features and there's not a lot to do there. But what you guys are building is going to it's not just perps, it's not just futures, it's a whole ecosystem. So once you have it, guys, we're gonna push it hard.
Love that. Love hearing it, Derek. Thanks a lot. Super nice to have you on board to help us push. You have done a lot already.
We have.
And by the way, shout out to the Mocha guys. The team is amazing. I met them in London, and what you are building, like most people are not aware of the full extent of it. I got a preview, and it's massive. I freaking love it.
Nah, man, keep going. You're gonna do amazing. I have to go because I have the kids here. But yeah, thank you very much for handing me the mic, Patriot.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for coming up.
Care.
I have some questions for you, Pragmatic Money. It's coming from the Rujira Telegram. So, guys, if you have questions, just go over there. I'm just going to look over there now. No one posted on the other thingy. Question number 1. This comes from Little Bunny, 1899. Perps version 2, win, or after what other features?
So per version 2 will be enabled by credit accounts, but I don't have I cannot answer the when yet. There is still a lot we need to do. First, roll out CDP loans, the liquidation platform, then repackage things for spot trading, and that will put us much closer to pairs because the interface will probably be pretty much the same. But that's going to be one of the top priority now that we have credit accounts, but there's still a few steps to get there.
Okay, so is right now perps is at 4x, right? That's the max we can do. Is that going to stay 4x until we get to this version 2?
We could increase that really now that I mean, so the Levana team we are still I think waiting for them to push an upgrade to use Enshrined Oracle. I think it's pretty much there. It was
okay.
just a blocking point. So we should be able to soon already unlock the V1 of perps to a higher leverage. So that's gonna come.
Yeah, well, okay. I'm assuming it's not Enshrined Oracles because we're in the test phase, right? We're seeing its behavior, but after the recent downturn in the market and how well it lined up, I mean, I think it's ready to go.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, yeah, it's just a matter of replacing the top price, which is a Thorchain based layer pool, by the Enshrined Oracle price, and the dev work is mostly done.
Hot damn, let's go. I want 500x perps. You guys ready? Let's send it. I ain't gonna participate, but please guys, get liquidated. I love that.
I think it's max 50x, not 500.
Oh, okay. Not 5000x either. Damn it.
No, 5000x you will get probably almost instant liquidated no matter what you do. We could do 1000x if we want to. It's just a matter of parameterization. What you have to understand is the higher the leverage, the lower the margin to liquidate. So past a certain, and you have a minimum margin which will be defined by the fees we take for liquidators and the swap. But we could push even higher on high liquidity pairs. It just means that a user will get liquidated very easily. But if there is demand for that, maybe on the large pair we can do it, but not with the current implementation, because anyway, none of that flow is connected to the rest, flow to the order book, or flow and people to participate in liquidation. That will come with V2.
Okay, all right. And so, okay, now the questions are really rolling in here. So I better I'm gonna miss someone's question and piss them off like I did last time. Okay, Captain Sparrow wants to know, what about prediction markets? What's the update on prediction markets?
So prediction market with Enshrined Oracles, we just need to extend Enshrined Oracles to not just look at price feeds from centralized exchange, but anything that has an API. So for example, if you think about sports results, you have a bunch of public APIs that provide you results of sport events or any sort of things. That's something we could implement next. It's further down the line, but definitely something we should cover as well. And we have all the tech to do it. It's really just a matter of packaging it the right way. And it was also very interesting stuff GP mentioned a while back, which was making prediction markets on any sort of arbitrary events where you will query like 3 different LLM at a given date and asking in the query that it has to answer by yes or no, and then you take the average of the answers to as your source of truth to define the outcome, and that could be very cool, even if we want to do a prediction market on stuff that don't necessarily have an oracle provided, like a source provided by an API. So like a big one that was controversial was Zelensky wearing a suit, whatever date. We could do this type of stuff as well with this design, but this is not implemented yet. It's a concept, but it's totally doable. GP mentioned it, so I think there's a good chance we do it on the line, and that would be super cool.
All right, there you go, guys. That's fun. Yeah, I might actually participate. That just sounds fun. Okay, I got to go through these questions here. So XM asks, what's the situation with Levana? Are they still working? Until when are they supposed to support perps? Blah, 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 blah.
So Levana, gonna be very transparent. They had a 12-month contract, just like the Rujira team when we started. We decided not to continue their contract after the initial 12 months because mostly, I mean, the product they have built at the end is very much a copy of what they have on Osmosis. It's not really at par of what we're expecting to have something that can compete with the bigger name of this world. And we can provide that as the Rujira team in a much more cost-efficient way and with certainty, and thanks to our credit accounts. And we can do that also in a way that will be fully integrated with the rest of the ecosystem. So it did not make any sense from a business perspective to continue with them, but they are still incentivized to stick around and try to grow their version of perps. And for now, they still have are the only one that are operating the perps platform of Rujira, so they have a monopoly. So it's up to them to drive deposits and volumes. It's their vertical, and they have a vested interest to do that because we have, this concept of builder incentive pool for each team of the Rujira Alliance. We have 7.5% of the supply allocated to this builder incentive pool that we will be distributing every quarter starting from the beginning of next year over 4 years. And this will be based on revenue contribution from each of the team members of the Rujira Alliance compared to the total revenue. So it's very much, it has been thought to align interest between token holders and the community and builders. And that's for all of us our upside. And of course, if the Levana team wants a share of that, they are incentivized to try to keep pushing and growing their products. So that's their level of involvement now, and they have still been doing a few stuff in the pipeline. So there's I mentioned this upgrade to Enshrined Oracle, which is pretty much done, which will allow them to increase the leverage to up to 50x. And there will also be this revamp of the UI. A lot of people were complaining about the design of their user interface, and so they are going to do something that looks much more to what Registrate looked like. Actually, it's started from a copy paste of Registrate, so that's also coming. And beyond that, I'm not sure if they will be doing much more. It's really up to them. But eventually, there will be a second version of perps that will be provided by us. They are already fully aware of that. And so there will be competition. If for some reason their model works better, and it's possible that actually there will be some arbitrage opportunity between the two DEX platform, then maybe they will stick around. But it's really up to them at this stage. So that's a very transparent, honest update on the situation.
Okay, there you go. Thank you for that. We got more questions here. So this next question is interesting. You guys, we're going to be doing Houdini swap next week, October 25th. The question from PS, I wonder if the P stands for pragmatic as well. But anyway, where are we with Redacted? We're actually going to do a space with Redacted November 1st. That's Saturday, of course, same time as this one. But okay, but it's a question, so I'll go ahead and kick it to you, Pragmatic. If do you have an update on Redacted?
Yes, they are progressing. They took a bit of time to get started at work. They need a bit of capital, so we agreed on a deal with them. We are investing from the ecosystem fund 100K into their token, and we are delivering that in tranches, which are based on the milestone. And the next milestone for the next tranche to be paid will be relying on them deploying on Testnet. And they are very close to that. They are also already started to work on the UI, integrate everything with the ecosystem. So it's happening, it's progressing, and it looks like a good team. They are so far like they are showing like they can deliver. So just a question of time, but making good progress.
There you go. Okay, let's go on to the next question. You guys are feeding me questions. Very good. Appreciate it. Coke wants to know why perps at the moment don't have affiliate fees. When fees win. When fees win.
Again, so the current version of perps, that's a question for Levana, not for me. I don't know why there is no. Maybe, I mean, there is no because probably there was no affiliate fee in the original design on Osmosis. Eventually, I mentioned that several times, we'll have this global affiliate and referral fee, and this for sure will be integrated with the version 2 of perps. And so that I don't have when, as usual, we don't give answers like a precise answer to when, but that's also one of the many high in the list items that we want to push. This will be key to growth and attract both third-party integrator, but also retail with centralized exchange style affiliate codes where you can get a kickback if you of the fees generated by the people you refer. So that will be a key to push for growth, and so it will be coming.
Okay, there you go. Let's go on to the next question here. Only Hans has a slightly spicy and fun question. He wants to know, Pragmatic Monkey, any alpha we don't know yet. He wants alpha from you. And he's going to ask you another annoying question. Any dates for anything, which I know you're going to say no dates, but any alpha, sir? That's the question.
Any alpha? No, I think I dropped the alpha of the name of the stablecoin probably being one. That would be the alpha for this space. Otherwise, nothing like. There are a ton of things I'm excited about, but I don't think any of that is very secret or so no other alpha of that. Just a bunch of very good stuff happening at the moment, and it's all coming together.
There you go. Actually, if you're just listening now for the first time, everything we've just said should be just earth-shattering alpha for you. You know how many people do not know about what we're building here? They have no idea what is coming. So this is nothing but an alpha space, to be honest with you. Let me check the questions real quick. I think you're mostly getting trolled now a little bit. Rio has been asking some questions. He wants to know when the 5 next products will be rolled out. That's a troll question. Hilarious. He also win a smile on Pragmatic Monkey's face, and then Cedric, some crazy guy, just put a AI-generated thing of you smiling like a lunatic and laughing, which is very creepy. So good job, you guys. You guys are absolutely insane. insane savages. Only Hans. Okay, let's go to this question. Pilot launch, question mark. I don't know what that's referring to, but I'll just leave it as
okay. Pilot is a launch pad. That's very close actually. It's fully live on StageNet. We have even tested it with the tester group. We conducted a bunch of test saves. In parallel, we are doing the audits. The audit is now mostly finished. It was a few comments from the auditors that needed to be fixed. So that's still pending. And there was a lot of work also with Zefiro on the API integration front to make sure that everything is loaded and correctly shown in the UI. I think that's also mostly done. So it's really like a matter of getting this last change done by the Fusion team's smart contract dev, and then we are ready to roll.
There we go. Okay. We got Rio. This is a non-troll question for him. Congratulations, Rio. Can you ask about BD, business development, I'm assuming, and what JP Nami is working on with other projects / teams? I don't know if JP Nami is listening right now, if he wants to come on up, but that's the question.
He's here, but I replied. So he has been doing great, really. I have connected him with a lot of the people we are speaking with. He's doing two things differently. Like he's focusing on growth, but the great stuff is he has also the tech skill. So for the moment, his time is mostly spent on helping improving the user onboarding flow. So for example, one of the great stuff he implemented, which that we needed, is the automatic swap. When you deposit, let's say USDC from AVAX or Base, automatically swap by default to USDC ETH, so people can use that. So that's done now. He has been picking up a lot of. So one of the things I do is I collect a lot of feedback from the community, the testers, and my own feedback as well when I test the product. And we have like a list of 500 tickets of stuff to do to improve, and it's a lot. And he has been picking up a lot of those tickets to improve, particularly everything related to onboarding and getting user on. And another big stuff he's working on now is integrated Ledger Live directly. Sorry, not Ledger Live, Ledger directly as a supported wallet when you connect to Rujira. And that would be massive because if we have Ledger, it means we can currently for a lot of connected chain, whether it's XRP, Bitcoin Cash, LTC, you don't have any wallets that actually works with Rujira. Like you can connect, but then you cannot do anything. You cannot access your Rujira account, and you cannot use the apps. We eventually will cover all those chain, and it's just a matter of prioritization. Now it's always like quite a lot of work to add custom implementation for each of those local wallets. Eventually we will do it, but at the moment, Hans has other priorities, and it's fairly complex things to do. Well, GP has been picking up this work to integrate Ledger directly, and that means also layer one who have Ledger support should eventually be able to connect to Rujira, and that's also very good because a lot of those OG users, they use Ledger and they don't even want to use like for example Bitcoin. You can use it now with your Ledger via Kepler extension, and that's personally how I use it. A lot of people do that. You install Kepler, you connect your Ledger to Kepler, and you do that. But you have a lot of OGs that don't even want to use a software wallet because they are afraid that their key by going through the browser extension will be leaked somehow. And connecting directly with Ledger will also allow us to curate to this type of profile. So he has been doing a lot of things there. And then where it will be very key once we start growing is once we will have the referral and the affiliate system in place, then he can go and start to speak with all those potential integrators, all the alternative front ends, the wallets, whoever wants to build or connect on top of Rujira. And he has the technical skills that I don't to also hold their hands into this process, write the docs to help them coming on board. So he will be very instrumental to help us drive grow, and super happy with what he has been doing so far, and to have him around, really.
Okay, there you go. Let's go on to the next question here. We have another question from Little Bunny. Any updates on ongoing audits?
Okay, so ongoing audits. So we have the launchpad being audited, and actually that's this one is over. We have next in line are the audits of landing vault and then credit accounts. Those two are quite critical. After that, I think we will do virtualization strategy. So landing vault and credit accounts, we kickstarted on Friday, so yesterday, the work. So this is really happening in the next 2 weeks. Plus, usually you get 2 weeks of audits, but then you have some back and forth, so it may be a bit longer. But hopefully, like by 3 weeks' time max, it's done. So that will allow us, once we have the result of the audit, also to scale the liquidity. Invite people to deposit in the landing vault. However, without use of this liquidity, there is no APR, so it's not very attractive. But because we are doing credit accounts at the same time, we'll also be able to roll out CDP loan and start to create all this demand for the supply side of the lending market and offer an attractive APR and start to scale the app layer. However, there is also another big part of that, which is the virtualization strategy, which backstop the lending, the liquidation by using the base layer liquidity. And we will need also probably to audit this one before we can really scale it, and therefore also scale how much borrowing we allow. So there are those 3 pieces that I think are the most critical in the short term. After that, another one that is quite critical would be also FIN 1.1. So we have made quite a few changes. So we want to have an auditor have a second look at the contract, even if the version 1 was audited. And that will allow for multiple market maker, among other things, which will build what I was discussing earlier, more liquidity and more volumes. So those are the short-term priority in terms of audits. There are other things that need to be audited as well, but those are the main ones.
There we go. Okay, we have another question here from Coke. He wants to know, will we get gold, S&P 500, etc. on Rujira perps, in quotation marks, non-crypto stuff at some point?
Yeah, I mean, for me, yes, we have to, like, especially once we have perps, all those assets, we just need to have a reliable source of truth. We will scale that. And so, yeah, we will do equity, we'll do Forex, we will do gold, commodities. Absolutely, I think that's going to be very cool. And then the beauty is you can also use all the strategy we will have on perps, like a grid bot or any of those type of things. With I'm hoping like a TBC, but possibly we can also like port the concentrated liquidity strategy to do that on the futures as well, which would be super cool. So then you can do future with leverage, effectively range trading, and leverage range trading. I think that would be very cool. And imagine if you can do that on stocks or on gold, which have a much lower volatility, you can tighten your range a lot, and suddenly you can own Tesla stock or whatever. But instead of just buy and holding, you actually also generate yield from volatility. So that would be super cool. So very, very keen to do that. And technically, it should be totally possible for supporting non-crypto assets.
Perfect. Okay, we got more. I think we're coming to the end unless they keep asking questions. And by the way, you guys, sometimes you complain that the show goes on too long. This is entirely your fault. This is your fault. This is a 2-hour space. It wasn't my fault. It's your fault. So that's what we got. Okay. We have another question from Coke. These are good questions, you guys. Is there any interesting teams emerging to join Rujira Alliance that Pragmatic Monkey is excited to have? Are you excited, Pragmatic Monkey?
So there is, rather than full team, I think what we want the most is highly motivated individual contributors. There is one person who joined from the Maya community who is called Cacao Matt, who is building some games. and he will start with a lottery game and a roll the dice game. I think that's quite cool. And then we have told him like what would be interesting is also to create games that under the hood use high leverage on using credit accounts effectively, which will also create a fun way to for people to bet effectively without even potentially noticing that there are volatility, and more opportunity for liquidation for feeding the orca, feeding the liquidation engine, allow people to participate on liquidation. So that's one I'm excited about. Otherwise, I think really what we have noticed, and we are like, I'm speaking always with a lot of people, but what we notice is trying to grow, like onboarding a lot of different devs inside the alliance or even outside is not necessarily the most efficient way. We have it usually ends up adding more work to Hans because he still has to review everything and advise because people are not as good as he is, and it's just slow down his own and our own like progress on the core apps, and usually for a result that is not as good as what he could have done. And the smart contract part for him especially is not the hard part. Like he can, he's super productive. Like for example, if you take a virtualization strategy, we had hired somebody to do that before. He spent almost 3 months working on it. We spent money from the treasury to pay for that, and at the end, he delivered something that was completely unusable. And reality is just like what we do is probably fairly hard and complex for most people. Hard to find like very good, competent devs. And then Hans took that on board, and 2 days later we had virtualization strategy on live on the on StageNet. So there is really like a trade-off here, and I know like GP was pushing a lot for us to enlarge the team, but at the end it's probably much more efficient to keep it relatively compact, small. Having Hans really as this mega architect that also has the full, is the only one who has the full picture of all the different pieces of the ecosystem, and so therefore can make sure that everything we build is fitted to work together, and do that much faster than having to spend this time instead of reviewing sometime like not optimal code from third-party devs that just show on board and don't have the full context and the skills to perform as we would like to. So yeah, so no other big teams for joining the alliance discussion at the moment, but if there is something where we identify that there could be real value add, we'll definitely consider it. What we want the most is welcoming team that are what we categorize as category 2, building on top of the core primitive, and that can be like completely independent team, just adding value to the entire app layer and doing their own marketing and attracting their own users by just using the core primitives that we provide. And I think with credit account in particular, it opens the design space so much in terms of what you can do that this can create a lot of opportunities for external team to join and build stuff on Rujira.
All right, there you go. And I think so far that is the last question. I will give a few more seconds if anyone wants to ask one more question, but this has been a really good space. It's gone on quite a long time. And, you know, one thing that I remember talking early, I don't remember who it was, but someone wanted to build like a casino on the app layer. And I personally think that's great. I mean, I think that results in a huge amount of potential revenue for Rujira and Thorchain, right? Because, you know, one thing with the casino is you need to have pure randomness, right? You can't be gamed, and I think we are set up nicely to do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's something we'll be keen. I mean, what Kakaomat is doing are sort of casino games, roll the dice and the lottery. There are much more you can do. Let's see if it works by like a lot, especially the roll the dice part. I think you can it's totally possible to reuse the same contract to just with a different UI and different parameters do all sorts of casino games. So that could be an easy one to unlock and do it in a very cost-efficient way. But on this part, like always keen to speak with builders. But a lot of the builders I've spoken with, they are usually like big teams that are just trying to get a huge grants that to build something which is already like it's not integrated in the ecosystem at all, and that's not what we are looking. So if you want to build casino game, reach out to me, but you have to be the builder that can do ship the code and make it not trying to build that as a separated stuff. It will be part of the Rujira Alliance, and it should be ideally using other part of the ecosystem, or just part of the alliance. There is room for more game slash casino builders. But yeah, don't come here if you are a predatory team or dev shop. I have a ton of dev shops reaching out. That's not what we are trying to do here, and we are not capitalized. Like I feel like there is it looks like there is a segment of crypto that developed to just go and harvest grants and payouts from all those big layer ones that raise at billions valuation and have hundreds of millions in their treasury, and they just come and build something that they've built on Solana or wherever. They don't care at all about the marketing or any of the long-term prospect of that. They just want to collect the grants, deliver something, and move on to the next. And that's really not what we're interested in. We want long-term aligned builders. So that's what you should feel like if you want to work with us.
Okay, very good. We got another question. The chat's mostly falling to spamming the word win and various other forms of degeneracy, but we did manage to get a little something out of Little Bunny here. He wants to know any update regarding website performance, reliability, and infrastructure. I think many people like to hear about that, which is true.
Oh yeah. So that's a very key one. So we have changed our infrastructure provider. We have kind of internalized that. We got Starquid, and we also hired Severin from the community to help us with that. So very happy with that. He's also a long-term supporter of Kujira back in the day, and now Rujira is very competent. I think we do a better job than what we had before. And importantly, we have been working on a total restructure of the API, separating read and writes and containerizing all those things to allow everybody to run duplication very easily, to have more redundancy. We have been testing that a bit already, and the gain of performance are very impressive. It's much better. It's not live on not even on Testnet yet, but there were like answered some new ideas just yesterday or the day before about how we could make it even better. And so there may be a bit more back and forth, but already we are running now the infrastructure ourselves, and that's been much more stable. We already made some change that overall like have improved greatly the situation versus where we were a few weeks back. If you remember, when the site was not available for a very long period and all that, this hasn't happened since. And I think like once we nailed down totally this new design, it was almost fully done, but we may be doing a few more change now, and then we need to test it properly before going live, and then it should be a noticeable improvement. And it has been painful, but that's the right way to do it. This will allow us to scale 10 times, 100 times more than if you do the standard blockchain app setup, where effectively when you connect your wallet, every time you connect his wallet, you query the RPC to show certain data on the UI. And if you have 100,000 users connected, you have 100,000 requests time the number of requests per user connected, and that doesn't scale at all. It increases like exponentially over time, and it's end up like offering a very bad UX. It's not made to scale. With this, with the way we build the API with Elixir, it means that no matter what, we only update the API or anything in the UI when there is a change, and then no matter what happened, one user or 1 million user, everybody gets the same data loaded only once. And that's how we can really scale and offer an experience that's long term is as close as it can be to a centralized exchange. So painful, but doing it the right way to scale long term, and we are getting very close to have a version 2 of the infrastructure that will be much more resilient.
There we go. Awesome. And yeah, from what I've heard from people, the site is running so much better already. And, you know, I've one thing I was right about early in the days, you know, this is completely new infrastructure and everyone's ever done this before. You know, we got to learn how to crawl before we can walk and before we can run. I think now we're just starting to walk and we're getting close to running. I don't think it's going to take Rujira any of the amount of time to, you know, get optimized like it took Thorchain like 5 years or so, right? Because the bones are there. It's a different implementation. It's a different way. So it's going great. And I think you guys are absolutely doing a great job. So keep going. I wanted to talk to the community for a second here. Something I've been thinking about. So as you guys know, we have 2 shows on Thorchain, right? We do this show, which we have various partners, integrators, like we're going to have Houdini Swap next week, and then Redacted the following. On Thursday, we do the Thursday, you know, update with Chad Bareford. On Thursday, if anyone from the Rujira community wants to do a Rujira only space, I will be available to do that. Don't mind doing 2 spaces in one day. You know, I'm not going to drag the TC intern to do that because he's busy as it is. But I mean, he can join if he wants. But if we want to then involve the Rujira intern as well, and then I was thinking we would do a weekly space if we can. If anyone wants to co-host with me, I'm going to need help, you guys. As some of you, you know, I reveal, you know, I'm an expert on Thorchain, but on Rujira, I'm still learning, right? It takes a long time, and I don't have that history like you guys do. So if there's anyone there who would like to do a space with me, and then maybe we can get some weekly content Rujira specific going every week. That you guys can market, and maybe we can get some, you know, sound bites and things like that, and we can just have more updates because you guys have been really hungry for Pragmatic Monkey, I know, and you guys have just been blowing us up with questions here. But I think it's necessary because we had one with Hans not too long ago. We should probably do a regular space, honestly, because you guys are building so fast and there's so many amazing things to do. So maybe discuss that internally amongst yourselves. Like I said, I'll do it with anybody. Just someone has to volunteer with me. And like I said, I just need help, right? Because I'm not an expert, and maybe we get it going, and then, you know, I can, you know, it can be Rujira specific. I mean, I'll co-host always or whatever if you want me to. But yeah, I've been thinking about that, guys. We really ought to do spaces with Rujira specifically, so we have something we can market and start promoting the brand, because we're getting there. We're really getting there. I think we're turning a page on Rujira here where it's go time. It's go time on Thorchain. We're ossifying, sounds like, and really now it's Rujira is gonna take the lead here. All the innovation, all the new primitives, all the cool stuff. Sounds like it's going to Rujira where it should be, right? So it's your time to shine, guys, and we have a lot to talk about, and we have a lot of educating to do. So we need to do that, right? Okay, let me look at the thing one more time. Okay, I don't see any more questions. Pragmatic Monkey, I want to give you like the final word here before I close it up. Is there anything else you want to say? This has been a great space. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. If you at any point, if you need to do, if we don't like do the weekly space anytime soon, if you need to do a space, just let me know and we will fire one of these things up, man, because this is good stuff.
Okay, no, great. Just want to say that so we are rolling out on Testnet credit accounts. So you can already go and try it if you want, CDP loans. Soon we'll also roll out the liquidation interface. There are still a few things that we want to polish, but we are planning actually, we really want to stress test the thing on Testnet in addition to the audits. So we are thinking of doing an incentivized testnet, effectively, on StageNet, which work with real assets. So doing a mini Rujilic just for that, with some USDC price to earn over like maybe a 4 weeks period or something like that. Make it maybe broken a bit piece. So we'll be in touch when ready. Yeah, it will be very much centered on liquidations. We want to make it fun, so you will get more points when you get liquidated. So at least there is an upside, even if you degen to the max. And the idea is really to allow us to test the full process from borrowing to liquidation. So hopefully people get excited about that, and there is a bit of friction to move your assets to Stagenet. But at the end, it's fairly simple. If you are already asset on the Rujira mainnet, you just withdraw back to the original chain and deposit on the preview.rujira.network. And yeah, we can get a lot of you to try and test and compete. When all of that is ready, we'll communicate with the community. And that's just the start of what's going to be a much more fun time once we launch liquidation. So very much looking forward to this to go live.
Real quick, I just noticed someone in the audience here. There is someone called Sunny D. I hope everyone in here looks for Sunny D and follow Sunny D. This is someone I talked to on my Patriot Sounds account, the Tron community. I really hope, Sunny D, that a lot of Tron members listen to this space. What Rujira is building on Thorchain is absolutely incredible and completely new DeFi suite. You know, permissionless connections to perps, prediction markets, money markets, everything possible, loans. We talked about a lot today. It's been about 2 hours and 16 minutes. So thank you very much, Sunny D, for showing up. I really, really appreciate that. There are so many wonderful things, and I just really hope the Tron community reaches out to Rujira. Because man, now is the go time. It's time to build. And Tron now, because they are essentially free because of the addition to Thorchain, that only scratches the surface what is possible on the app layer now. So super, super exciting, super, super cool. I can't wait. But okay, guys, I think let me check the questions one more time. I don't see any other questions. We asked a lot of questions. Thank you guys for the content. I appreciate it. I think we're going to wrap it there, Pragmatic Monkey, so people can listen to the recording, because there's a lot of gems here, guys, 100%. So anything else, buddy, before we close it down?
No, that's it. Thank you very much for having me. Always a pleasure. And yeah, have a good weekend, guys.
Likewise, sir. And you know what? Shout out to TC, the intern, Thorchain intern, for always finding time to come and host these things. I really appreciate it. You don't get enough love. So this is my public outreach to for always, because he's always down. If we have a space sometimes that I'm talking that's not even Thorchain related, sometimes he joins with the account just to promote the algorithm and get more traction. So I really appreciate your help and your partnership there. The intern is a legend. He is underrated for sure. Thank you, Eric. Thank you to all the community members. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. With that said, we're going to wrap this space. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Thank you now. Bye-bye.